This council now becomes committee of the whole council to consider the Road Traffic Amendment Ride-Hailing Service Bill 2025. Members may refer to the appendix to the script for the debate and voting arrangements for the bill. Members have been informed that the committee will conduct a joint debate on the clauses and amendments, and I propose the question to you that the following clauses stand part of the bill. Clauses 1 to 17. The Secretary for Transport and Logistics will move amendments to amend Clause 8 and add the new clauses. Members may refer to the appendix to the script for details of the amendments. Members may now proceed to a joint debate on the clauses and amendments. I will first call upon the Secretary for Transport and Logistics to speak, but she is not required to move the amendments at this stage. Then I will call upon members to speak. Upon the conclusion of the joint debate, the committee will first vote on the clauses with no amendment standing part of the bill, then proceed to deal with the amendments according to the arrangements set out in the appendix to the script. Secretary for Transport and Logistics. I move that the provisions of the Road Traffic Amendment Ride-Hailing Service Bill 2025 be amended, with the contents of the amendments already set out in the documents distributed to members. The proposed amendments fall into two categories. The first one comprises two technical amendments made in response to the views of the Bills Committee. The second category relates to strengthening the arrangements for temporary suspension of vehicle licenses and vehicle impoundment, so as to more effectively combat white license cars, thereby enhancing protection for passengers and other lawful and compliant point-to-point service. On two technical amendments, the first one is to replace the conjunction "and" with "or" between the proposed new sections 55P1A and B of the bill. Upon amendment, if a license platform fails to maintain proper and efficient service or doesn't comply with license conditions or statutory provisions, the Commissioner for Transport may, after considering the report of an inquiry, impose a financial penalty on the licensee and may also vary, suspend, or cancel the ride-hailing service license. In addition, if a ride-hailing service licensee fails to pay in full the financial penalty imposed by the Commissioner may also vary, suspend, or cancel the ride-hailing service license. The amended provisions will provide the Commissioner with greater flexibility to impose appropriate penalties on the ride-hailing service licensee depending on the specific circumstances of non-compliance. The second technical amendment is to delete paragraphs B and C of the proposed new section 55Z(1) and to add a new section 55ZAA to the bill. Under the original proposal, if a person's full driving license to drive a private car or light goods vehicle is cancelled, or if he or she is disqualified from driving a taxi for a period, the Commissioner may cancel or temporarily suspend the person's ride-hailing vehicle driving permit, but the relevant decision would only take effect after 21 days. Upon amendment, depending on the circumstances, the person's ride-hailing vehicle driving permit may be cancelled or suspended immediately without having to wait for 21 days for the cancellation or suspension to take effect. We have taken on board the members' view expressed during the scrutiny of the bill. As for the second category of amendments, taking into account that even after the introduction of a regulatory regime for ride-hailing services, there may still be white license cars engaging in illegal carriage of passengers for reward. We propose to strengthen the arrangement for temporary suspension of vehicle licenses and vehicle impoundment. The current post-conviction mechanism will be extended to the pre-conviction stage so that even if the government is unable to identify the driver involved for prosecution, the vehicle license of the vehicle concerned may still be temporarily suspended. We have consulted the Bills Committee on these proposals and incorporated members' view into the amendments. The amendments will add a new Part 9C to the Road Traffic Ordinance, Cap 374. If 60 days after the police have served a notice requiring provision of a personal particulars of driver under Section 63 of the Ordinance on the Vehicle Owner, the Commissioner of Police has a reasonable cause to believe that the vehicle is involved in illegal carriage of passengers for hire or reward, but is unable to identify the driver for criminal prosecution. The Commissioner of Police may notify the Commissioner for Transport to initiate the vehicle impoundment procedures. The Commissioner for Transport may serve a notice of temporary suspension of vehicle license and vehicle impoundment on the vehicle owner, requiring the owner to deliver the vehicle to the custody of the Commissioner for Transport on a on a specified day. The vehicle owner may lodge an objection within 30 days of receiving the notice. If the owner objects, the Commissioner of Police may apply to a magistrate for an order to temporarily suspend the vehicle license, and the owner will have an opportunity to make representation to the magistrate. If the owner doesn't object within 30 days, the vehicle license will be temporarily suspended for 6 months. The proposal aims to address the increasing number of vehicle owners in recent years who refuse to provide driver information to the police, resulting in the inability to identify the driver and institute prosecution, even if the driver cannot be identified for prosecution. The vehicle concerned may still be impounded. The above arrangements will directly affect the use of the vehicle and are expected to serve as an effective deterrent against vehicle owners attempting to evade existing penalties, thereby curbing illegal white license cars. At the same time, the rights of vehicle owners are now protected. Under the proposed mechanism, the vehicle owners may object to the Commissioner of Transport's direction and make representations to the magistrates explaining why the vehicle license should not be suspended. The amendments also set out the consideration for the police to initiate the mechanism and the factors for the magistrates to consider. We have fully consulted the DOJ and the judiciary to ensure that the mechanism is consistent with legal principle. President, the Bills Committee has no objections to the above amendments. I urge members to support and propose the amendments. Thank you, President. Mr. Frankie Yek. I speak in support of the amendments in relation to vehicle impoundment. When a vehicle is involved in a traffic conviction, the police will request the provision of driver particulars for the investigation into traffic accidents. If a vehicle leaves without reporting to the police will request drivers to provide particulars in accordance with CAP 734, Section 63, brackets 5. If the driver's name, address, license number could not be identified, depending on the circumstances, this is a statutory defense. In other words, if the driver fails to furnish the information as required by the police, penalties will be meted out about $2,000 to $3,000, and the investigation will come to a close. I believe you have heard from the Chief Executive that taxi services need to be enhanced, white license cars need to be combated. In the past, citizens reported white license cars, so the passengers thought that the interests and rights would be undermined. That's why the passenger reported the case to the police. But then the offenders would just be fined, and then the offender could get away with it. The offender just needed to pay fine and could get away with it. Taxi drivers, owners, need to be held responsible for such illegal acts. If the particulars of the vehicle owner is inappropriately used, unless such use is unlawful, otherwise the owner would definitely know this. The Liberal Party supports the amendments of the administration. For illegal carriage for hire or reward, the owner will still need to bear the responsibility, and the vehicle will still be impounded for 6 months. Then the loopholes are plugged in order to eradicate white license cars. This will protect members of the public. That's why I support the amendment of the administration. Does any member wish to speak? If not, I now invite the Secretary for Transport and Logistics to speak again. I thank Mr. Frankie Yek for his views. In fact, through the principal legislation, there are a lot of principles supported by subsidiary legislation afterwards. I believe in most cases we will be able to eradicate white license car activities. However, for unlicensed operators or for vehicles without a license, without a permit, if passengers don't make bookings on platforms, all these activities will be dealt with in accordance with law. That's why in recent years, the government has been strictly combating white license cars. Well, as at 2025, a total of 97 cases were detected, and we see we have seen a surge from the previous figure of 47. And the relevant regulations will be gazetted. We need to take a holistic approach. We will also take into account the commencement date of other provisions under the bill in order to ensure the service quality of personalized point-to-point transport service. I urge members to support it.
I now put the question to you that the clauses with no amendment as set out in the appendix to script stand part of the bill. Will those in favor please raise your hands? Those against please raise your hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. This committee now deals with the clauses with amendments. The Secretary for Transport and Logistics, you may move your amendments. Chairman, I move the amendments set out in the appendix to the script. I propose the question to you that the Secretary's amendments be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the amendments passed. Clause 8 as amended. And I put the question to you that the clause as amended, just read out by the clerk, stand part of the bill. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. We now deal with the new clauses. New clause 8A, 8A, section 63, amended. Certificate of service. New clause 10A, 10A part 9C added new clause 10B, 10B part 10 heading amended suspension of licenses of motor vehicles. New clause 10C, 10C section 93 amended suspension of vehicle license and delivery of vehicle into custody of commissioner. New clause 10D, 10D section 95 amended seizure and removal of vehicle. New clause 10E, 10E sections 102AA and 102AAB added. New clause 11A, 11A schedule 5 amended removal and storage charges. Secretary for Transport and Logistics, you may move the second reading of the new clauses. Chairman, I move the second reading of the new clauses just read out by the clerk. I propose the question to you that the new clauses read out by the clerk be read the second time. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. New clauses 8A, 10A to 10E and 11A. Secretary for Transport and Logistics. Chairman, I move to add the new clauses just read out by the clerk. I propose the question to you that the new clauses read out by the clerk be added to the bill. Will those in favor please raise your hands? Those against, please raise your hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. All the proceedings on the Road Traffic Amendment Ride-Hailing Service Bill 2025 have been concluded in Committee of the Whole Council. Council now resumes. Secretary for Transport and Logistics. President, I now report to the Council that the Road Traffic Amendment Ride-Hailing Service Bill 2025 has been passed by Committee of the Whole Council with amendments. I move the motion that this Council adopts the report. I now propose the question to you that the Secretary's motion be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise your hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed.